In this video, we leave Zagreb behind and head to Croatia's coast, focusing on the city of Rijeka, the gateway to Istria. Known for its industrial heritage and significant port, Rijeka invites me to dive deeper into Croatia, seeking out hidden and heritage architecture worth pointing my camera at. Join me as I look to uncover a few gems in the next couple of videos, and it all starts right here and with something very unique. In this week's video, I'm actually not shooting this staircase. That is for next week. This week, we're heading on to talk about modern architecture. And we're actually heading on out to a pretty new mosque on the outskirts of Rijeka here in Croatia. Join me, something completely different for the channel. We're going to be talking about modern architecture, and I'll be giving you tips along the way as the sun goes down. Let's move. So I decided to vacate the apartment later that day, around 6 PM, with the intention to photograph the mosque at sunset, or at least during golden hour. With the sun dropping in the sky that evening, around 8:30 PM, it would give me a couple of hours. Considered by many to be one of the most beautiful mosques in Europe, the Islamic centre of Rijeka stands as a cultural beacon in the north of the city. This modern architectural marvel not only serves as a place of worship, but also features a sleek, contemporary design incorporating traditional Islamic elements with stunning visual appeal. And the reason for this is that the building was a collaboration between a sculptor and two architects. The successful playing with the basic geometric shapes led to the fact that the building is considered more of a functional sculpture, which is intended for culture and religion, and not just that of a typical building. And you're probably thinking to yourself, James, why are you photographing modern architecture? You only do abandoned buildings. Well, you'd be wrong, actually. It's just a common perception about me, but actually I photograph anything with a nice visual aesthetic, a pleasing aesthetic. And I photographed loads of different types of, genres and architecture during my career. Now, we're probably not going to get much of a sunset tonight. We didn't a week or so ago when I came with a group. Actually, it was pretty similar to this. And that's another reason why I've come out. I've got a couple of compositions up my sleeve. I'm going to give you tips on photographing this kind of structure behind me, and I hope you enjoy it. So the main tip, first of all, before we start setting up, is of course I've come at the right time of day. Golden hour or late in the day here, maybe even blue hour, is exactly the right time of day to get kind of nice light on this mosque, nice sky, and of course no ridiculously blown out highlights and very harsh shadows. The middle of the day here would be a bit of a no-no. So that's the first thing. So just as I set up my tripod, the first tip I'm going to give you, of course, is going to be about composition, framing, and basically trying to get to grips with everything in your surroundings, like making sure you know what compositions you're looking for. So the good thing to do here is to walk around, like I've just done, go right around the site, check it all out for compositions and angles, and maybe even use your mobile phone to kind of look at perspectives. Of course, the phone is at 28mm. You could also just make sure you step all the way back, all the way in, and just double check each of the compositions. Now I know that around this back side here is one composition that looks particularly pleasing. The light has just dipped away from me just for a few seconds, but it will be back. And when it does come back, it's only going to be back for a few minutes because there's 2 bands of clouds that's going to go between them. And it's not going to last long. So for that, I need to be in position. So for this next tip, it's about using the lines, the shapes, the doorways, the features to draw the viewer's eye into your image. Here in this position, I want to be quite quick because the sun's going to move between the 2 cloud bands in a moment. I'm using my Canon RP and filming on the R5, of course, with the 17mm tilt shift right here for no other reason than I've only got 1 battery left on both cameras, and actually I want to sort of showcase to you guys that this can be done with any, an affordable camera basically. Now I'm using here in this particular image the 4 domes, the 4 shapes together in harmony in a low position, and I've positioned myself in such a way that these, I suppose, slabs, concrete slabs, lead you into the architecture, and that is this particular tip, is try and use the features around you to draw the viewer's eye into the image. So yeah, 3 brackets, 1 stop apart, got a nice glow to it, nice light on the right hand side. I think this one's going to work. Sky is fairly dull, not much happening in it, so it's all about the architecture. Now there is a couple of little buildings right and left that probably I would look to try to eliminate if I could, but I don't think this is going to be the winning shot. So let's move on and get the second composition. And with it, I'll give you another tip. So I'm in position nearly. I've come to a higher point overlooking the mosque. Now it's a composition I did scout out last week, and I did actually capture a really nice shot. I'm going to try and replicate that. But essentially the tip here is to change heights if you can. Check your surroundings, check steps, check constantly if you can get higher or lower, which will change up your perspective, of course, of the architecture. Now here, what I really like is when I'm actually framing everything up from on this left-hand side. Now there's a railing going all the way along here, and I could go anywhere along it. But I realized before that if I'm actually in front of the mosque directly, nice shape to it, it works. The problem is there's loads of trees in the foreground that kind of block the view. But here, further along to the left side, we're a little bit more unobstructed, really. You can see here, I've positioned my tripod just up on the top, making sure it's nice and firm. But more importantly than that, I've actually gone for a completely different focal length to what I normally would opt for. I've actually gone for my 50mm lens. Now if I had a 50mm tilt shift, that would be perfect for this, but 50mm nonetheless is going to work, and it's going to work very, very well. Now I'm actually positioning the minaret just off the rule of thirds to the right, and I'm going to show you in camera here exactly what it is that I'm doing. I've got all 4 of the domes in the composition in the lower section of the frame, and the minaret is basically just poking out over on the right hand side of the 4th one. The sky is soft, the light is soft, it's bouncing off of the detail and bringing alive really the shape of those domes. So at this time of night, it's magical, looks amazing. I'm going to capture that shot, and of course timing this at the right time of day, we're getting beautiful soft light, not blown out highlights, not dark shadows, which of course falls back to one of the other tips. So while I've been using the 50mm, that brings me nicely on to, you could also capture details. So of course here I've got lots of details. Now it's not really my thing to capture details, but I suppose what I just did previously, going in on the top and kind of getting some of those nice shapes, kind of is my version of a detailed shot, but you could actually get a lot more closer than that. You could actually even go right on in, capture loads of these shapes, bends, and convert things to black and white. Don't forget to look up occasionally too. Now in this location, it doesn't work too well, but it could do in your location of choice. The main thing in post that you want to concentrate on though, of course, is your distortion and perspective, making sure that they're right. Fix those in post. They're a guarantee. You need to do those things. And then you can start messing around with your kind of final edits. Things like contrast, clarity. Try and play with those, but don't get extreme with them when you're editing modern architecture. Following on from moving around to get different heights, low angles, high angles. Of course, the other tip there was that I changed my lens from 17mm to 50, and now I'm going back to 17. But I've also tried out the 24-2. I've tried different focal lengths to try to vary up my shapes and experiment with kind of how the mosque looks and feels in my frame. Here, I'm getting it within its natural surroundings. A lot of concrete down below. I've shifted the lens up a little bit. I'm getting all of the minaret in. And it's a good tip for you to try to make sure that you're getting various shots, not just repeating the same one. Try stuff out. You could even come in the middle of the daytime to kind of recce things out, scout it out, and then return under the best lighting conditions to capture the shots that you desire. Now the other thing here on this final shot is I'm looking to get balance in the image. So not too much flooring, not too much sky, just the right amount. So using the right lens, the 17mm tilt shift, is giving me exactly that. A little bit of floor, right amount of sky. It's not a dramatic sky, so I think tonight that's the right selection for this particular shot. What I like in this composition is that we're really highlighting the mosque's textures, and two in particular are highlighted with this composition. There's this kind of twisting, rotating minaret, and in it there's bars that kind of give a nice texture, and of course in the arches themselves there's exactly the same texture pointing upwards. Then you've got the texture of the actual silver panels as well. By no means is it a perfect image. I could improve on it. I could get different sky, better sky. There could be reflections, water here as well. There's many things that could improve this image. But for tonight and the conditions that I was facing, which is basically soft light here on the coast of Croatia, it's pretty fantastic.
If you want to support this channel, you can do so by purchasing one of the books listed in the description below.
So that's it for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed that one. I hope you've enjoyed the images. It's been a pleasure to do something a little bit different on the channel. And would you like to see more of this kind of stuff? If you would, leave some comments down below. Until next time, guys, bye-bye for now. From here in Croatia, see ya.